Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to be joined by Jackson County Sheriff Nathan Sickler today. Sheriff, thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we're talking today about marijuana, cannabis, illegal cannabis, of course. It seems like this has been more of a priority, or certainly been more noticeable, at least in the output from your agency this year. Has it become more of a priority this year, or is it just something that you guys are buckling down on?
Well, I think it's become more of a priority, but it's also become more of a concern for our public, and that's kind of what drives our priorities. This year we've had an explosion of marijuana grows in the county. We've seen such an increase that it's so prevalent right now. I mean, you can almost go anywhere and see a grow or a greenhouse or some sort of an operation related to cannabis or marijuana and hemp. And much of it is illegal, meaning we have a lot of individuals who have obtained ODA licensing and are growing marijuana. We have a lot of black market grows where there's no licensing. And we've seen a pretty big increase in cartel presence in our county, and that's pretty concerning. And so it's really consuming a lot of my time as a sheriff, listening to our public and their concerns, and then trying to figure out how we're going to respond to this amount of work when we don't necessarily have an increase of staffing or resources to deal with it. So it's been a big challenge for us this spring and summer to try to figure out how to best handle this new or this bigger problem. We've always had a problem with it since recreational marijuana became legal, but we received some grant funding from the state, a couple of years ago. We've had a pretty successful IMET team, which is our illegal marijuana enforcement team. And they were starting to kind of, get a handle on some of the issues. And then this year, just an explosion of growth. So there's so much work. It's just really tough to get to it all.
I know you guys have the second largest agency, I believe, in Jackson County, to Medford Police. Even if you had maybe every deputy you had working for you, every sworn officer working this, I'm not sure you'd even be able to keep up with it. How do you guys approach? I mean, if something you guys see and you know it's illegal, are you able to tackle it? Is it something you have to bring OSP, the feds? I mean, how do you guys approach that?
So there's I would say a multi-pronged approach this year. We've been working with the OLCC as of most recently. We've always worked with them on, the recreational grows, which they have the, regulatory authority over licensed recreational grows and medical grows. And then, ODA, the Oregon Department of Agriculture, had the licensing and regulatory authority over hemp grows. And then we saw this merge of these two worlds, into this large issue that there were significant loopholes in the laws that allowed some of this to just go unchecked. One was the lack of resources by the ODA. Some of it was very loose regulatory laws. So it allowed, people to grow marijuana disguised, as hemp. And it was very difficult for us to be able to do anything with those grows. So we worked with our legislators and the legislative body in Salem to get House Bill 3000 passed. And that was a joint effort between Josephine County, our county, Lily Morgan was a big help with that. And then our local representatives, and then Sheriff Daniel and I worked to get some of the laws changed to help us, deal with some of these issues. But it's a partnership with our state and local authorities, local police departments, the Medford Police Department, and us, have that grant that we share and, crack down on grows as much as we can. But you're right, there's so many that it is it's daunting. Our code enforcement has stepped up this year as far as, and I say they've always done their part, but the Board of Commissioners gave them some directives to be, attentive to these issues more so. And so they've really, came in and have been a real help at dealing with these grows and the illegal structures that go along with it and the non-permitting. And then of course we partner with the water master and, everybody that is involved in this, we try to have good relationships with.
Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll have much more with Sheriff Sickler in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Jackson County Sheriff Nathan Sickler. We're talking about illegal marijuana in the county. Sheriff, I know we were talking during the break about this big bust we had today in Josephine County. I know it's a large operation. Seems like possibly more than a dozen agencies involved with this thing. Is that what we need to, in effect, stop this illegal marijuana problem? Just much more resources, or how do we solve this?
Yeah, that was a really large operation that they took care of today. It kind of, is kind of a large example, or a, kind of isolated example of the scope of some of these, because they're not all that big, but it does take a lot of work. You had 12 agencies there. There's a lot of pre-planning. There's a lot of operational planning. And then there's the whole dismantling of that operation and the removal of the plants and the structures, which can take a couple days or even longer, depending on how much resources they get out to the scene. So, there's a lot of work with these grows, and we need more resources countywide to deal with the problem. And House Bill 3000 will provide some additional funding. We're applying for some grant funding to hire some more deputies to help us deal with the situation. But it's likely that we would need more.
And we could probably talk about it this whole 6 o'clock hour, Sheriff, but we only have the 5 minutes or so. Obviously, we went over with this one. I appreciate you taking the time. We'll definitely be in touch with you as this problem continues to be addressed. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. Take care.
All right. Stay with us. We'll be right back.